Ladies, let's get real. Too many women give away their power without even realizing it. You bend, you compromise, you sacrifice, and in the process, you start losing yourself. That stops today. In this talk, I'm going to share 7 things you should never do for a man, because the truth is, when you give up these pieces of yourself, you don't just lose respect, you lose the very essence of who you are. This isn't about being harsh, it's about being smart. It's about protecting your worth, your boundaries, and your identity. Because the moment you start doing what I'm about to share, you hand over your power, and I promise you, he won't give it back. When you give away your self-respect, you give away the very foundation of who you are. Too many women fall into this trap not because they are weak, but because they are conditioned to believe that love means compromise at all costs. The reality is, the moment you start tolerating what doesn't sit right with your values, you begin to chip away at your worth. It may start small. Maybe you let a comment slide that belittled you, or you ignored behavior that made you uncomfortable. You tell yourself it's not worth the fight, that it's better to keep the peace. But each time you do this, you send a silent message to both him and yourself. My respect doesn't matter as much as this relationship. And once that line gets crossed, it's hard to redraw. Respect is not optional. It is the currency of every healthy relationship. When a man respects you, he values your boundaries, your opinions, and your individuality. He doesn't try to control or diminish you, but respect is something you must also demand by the way you carry yourself. If you don't respect yourself, no one else will. That means setting clear standards for how you should be treated and refusing to stay where those standards are ignored. Too many women lower the bar because they fear losing the relationship. But lowering the bar never makes someone love you more. It only teaches them how little they have to give to keep you around. Self-respect shows up in the choices you make every day. It's how you respond when someone speaks to you with condescension. It's how you react when your needs are brushed aside. It's whether you stand tall when you're being tested or shrink yourself to avoid tension. The hard truth is, if you don't uphold your self-respect, you create space for manipulation, mistreatment, and neglect. And the man who truly values you will never ask you to give that up. Some women believe sacrificing their self-respect will eventually earn them the love and security they crave. They think patience, tolerance, and silence will prove their devotion. But love built on the absence of respect is not love, it is dependency. It leaves you walking on eggshells, constantly adjusting yourself to fit someone else's needs while abandoning your own. That is not the life you deserve. Holding on to your self-respect is not about being confrontational or difficult. It's about being clear with yourself first. What are your boundaries? What will you not allow? When you know this, you carry yourself with confidence that doesn't need approval. The right man will recognize that strength, not as a threat, but as a sign that you are someone who cannot be taken for granted. And if a man sees your respect for yourself and chooses to walk away, let him. Better to lose him than to lose yourself. The truth is, self-respect is the anchor that keeps you steady when emotions get stormy. Relationships will test you, challenges will arise, but as long as you hold on to your dignity, you never lose sight of your worth. When you protect your self-respect, you protect your future, your peace, and your power. Never giving up your dreams or ambitions for a man is one of the most important commitments you can make to yourself. Ambition is not just about career or financial goals. It's about growth, fulfillment, and the life you envision for yourself. Too often, women are told, directly or indirectly, that their goals should come second to a man's path. That his career matters more, his dreams should take priority, and her role is to support from the sidelines. This belief is deeply ingrained in many cultures and relationships, but the truth is, the moment you abandon your own dreams, you abandon a piece of who you are. And once you give that up, resentment and regret begin to take root. Dreams and ambitions are deeply personal. They are tied to your purpose, your talents, and your potential. They are not meant to be shelved for the sake of making someone else comfortable. A healthy relationship should add fuel to your ambitions, not extinguish them. When a man truly respects and loves you, he will encourage you to pursue your passions, even if it means sacrifice or adjustment on his part. He will see your growth as a win for both of you, not a threat to his place in your life. But when a man discourages or dismisses your dreams, what he is really saying is that his needs outweigh your fulfillment. And if you agree to that, you teach yourself that your happiness is negotiable. Some women give up opportunities because they fear losing the relationship. They move cities, abandon careers, or decline challenges because he wasn't supportive or because he didn't want to compromise. At first, it may feel like the right decision because the relationship is preserved, but over time, the weight of what was lost becomes heavy. The dreams you gave up don't just disappear. They turn into unfulfilled potential, and unfulfilled potential is painful to carry. The regret lingers, and eventually, it can poison the relationship you gave it up for. Protecting your ambitions doesn't mean you can't compromise or support each other. Relationships require balance, but balance doesn't mean erasure. If you're with someone who demands that you abandon your path entirely, what he really wants is control, not partnership. A true partner understands that when you pursue your dreams, you bring more happiness, confidence, and purpose into the relationship. They recognize that your success benefits both of you because fulfilled people make stronger partners. Your ambitions are part of your identity. They reflect your values, your drive, and your vision for your life. Giving them up for someone else's comfort is like dimming your light so theirs can shine brighter. But here's the truth: two people can shine at the same time. In fact, when both partners are thriving, the relationship is stronger, richer, and more resilient. When you refuse to give up your dreams, you set a standard, you show that your life has equal value, and you attract a partner who respects that. Every sacrifice you make should be one you can live with, not one that erases who you are. Because a man who truly loves you will never ask you to shrink your world to fit inside his. He will want to see you rise, not settle. And if pursuing your dreams means losing someone who demands otherwise, let them go, because what you stand to lose by abandoning yourself is far greater. Never allowing disrespect, excuses, or broken promises is a non-negotiable if you want to protect your self-worth and create healthy standards in any relationship. Disrespect often begins in subtle ways. It could be a dismissive tone when you express your opinion, a joke made at your expense, or being ignored when you voice your needs. Too many women let those moments slide because they don't want to appear overly sensitive or demanding. But what you allow in the beginning sets the tone for everything that follows. The moment you accept disrespect, you are silently giving permission for it to continue, and over time, those small dismissals grow into larger patterns that erode your dignity and peace. Excuses follow the same dangerous path. A man who constantly explains away his behavior rather than taking accountability for it is showing you exactly how much you can count on him. He might tell you he's too busy, too stressed, or that it wasn't his intention to hurt you. He may offer smooth words to cover his lack of action, but excuses don't fix behavior, they only delay it. And when you accept excuses, you send a message that responsibility is optional in your relationship. A man who values you won't lean on excuses. He'll take ownership of his mistakes and work to correct them. Broken promises cut even deeper because they chip away at the trust that holds everything together. A promise is a commitment, whether it's something as simple as showing up on time or as significant as staying faithful. When those promises are broken repeatedly, you begin to realize that words carry no weight in the relationship. And once trust is gone, love has no solid ground to stand on. It's not about perfection. People will make mistakes. But when apologies are not matched by changed behavior, you are dealing with a pattern, not an accident. The danger is that many women rationalize these behaviors in the name of love. They convince themselves that he didn't mean it, that he'll change, or that it's just a phase. But every time you rationalize disrespect, excuses, or broken promises, you lower your own standards. You teach yourself to expect less and accept less, and when you do that, you begin to lose the belief that you deserve more. Over time, that erodes not just your confidence, but your very sense of self. Respect is the foundation of trust, and trust is the foundation of love. Without them, a relationship cannot thrive, no matter how strong the attraction may be. When a man respects you, he listens to you, he honors his word, and he treats your time and emotions with care. He doesn't excuse his failings, he addresses them, he doesn't break promises casually, he values the trust you've placed in him. That is the kind of standard you must hold. Because if you don't, you will end up in a relationship where your needs are always last, your boundaries are always tested, and your peace is always disturbed. The reality is, you cannot build a healthy relationship on excuses and broken trust. And you should never stay where disrespect has become the norm. The right partner will never put you in a position where you have to question your worth. The wrong partner will test it constantly. Which one you choose to accept is within your power, and it all begins with refusing to tolerate what chips away at your respect and your peace. Never silencing your voice to avoid conflict is one of the strongest acts of self-respect you can practice in a relationship. Far too often, women swallow their words, ignore their feelings, and keep quiet because they fear rocking the boat. They believe that silence will preserve peace, that avoiding confrontation will protect the relationship, but what it really does is create a slow erosion of authenticity. Every time you silence yourself, you trade your truth for temporary comfort, and that comfort always comes at a cost. Your voice is your power. It carries your needs, your values, your boundaries, and your perspective. When you silence it, you abandon yourself. At first, it might seem harmless. You let something slide. You tell yourself it's not worth the argument. You minimize your feelings to keep things calm. But over time, those unspoken words pile up, and what began as a small compromise becomes a deep well of resentment. Resentment that eventually spills out in ways you can't control, often destroying the very relationship you are trying to protect. Avoiding conflict doesn't make problems disappear, it simply buries them, and what's buried doesn't stay hidden forever. It grows in the dark, waiting for the moment it explodes. Healthy relationships are not built on silence, but on communication. And communication requires courage, the courage to say, "This hurt me," "This matters to me," or "This needs to change." A man who values you will not punish you for using your voice. He will respect you for it. But he can only do that if you are willing to speak in the first place. There is a dangerous misconception that being agreeable makes you more lovable. Many women are conditioned to believe that being accommodating, easygoing, and non-confrontational will make a man stay. But here's the truth. Silencing your voice doesn't make someone love you more. It only makes them respect you less. It teaches them that your needs are optional, that your boundaries can be ignored, and that your silence is permission. And once that cycle begins, it is difficult to break. Speaking your truth does not mean yelling, attacking, or being aggressive. It means communicating with clarity and confidence. It's saying, "I will not ignore my feelings to make you comfortable." It's expressing your needs even when it feels uncomfortable. Conflict is not the enemy, silence is. Conflict, when handled with respect, creates understanding. It clears the air, it builds trust, and it allows both people to grow. Silence, on the other hand, creates distance, confusion, and eventually disconnection. The man who truly deserves your love will want to hear your voice even when it's hard. He will want to know what you think, how you feel, and what you need. Because real intimacy is built on honesty, not on silence. If he doesn't allow space for your voice, then you need to ask yourself why you're giving space to him in your life. Your voice is not just about communication. It's about identity. When you silence it, you erase a part of who you are. And when you erase yourself to keep someone else, you lose twice. Once in the moment you stay quiet, and again when you realize the relationship was built on a version of you that wasn't real. Speaking up may cause temporary conflict, but staying silent causes permanent damage. Your voice matters, your truth matters, and any relationship worth having will make room for both. Never making a man the center of your identity is a principle that every woman must guard fiercely. Too often, relationships become the lens through which women measure their worth, their happiness, and even their purpose. When you build your identity around a man, you hand over control of your life to someone else, and the danger is that your sense of self rises and falls depending on how that relationship is going. If he gives attention, you feel valued. If he withdraws, you feel empty. This creates a dependency that strips you of your independence and turns love into a form of survival rather than a choice. Your identity is not meant to be defined by another person. It is meant to be rooted in who you are, in your values, your passions, your beliefs, and your unique gifts. When you center your entire life around a man, you risk losing touch with yourself. You stop nurturing your friendships, your goals, your hobbies, and your dreams. You put everything into him, believing that in return, he will give you the fulfillment you've been searching for. But no one can carry the weight of being someone else's entire identity. Over time, it leads to disappointment, imbalance, and often heartbreak, because a relationship cannot replace the foundation of a strong self. A man can add to your life, but he should never become your whole life. The healthiest relationships are those where two complete individuals choose to share their lives, not where one person sacrifices their identity to orbit around the other. When you lose yourself in a man, you not only diminish your own potential, but you also put unfair pressure on him to be your everything. That dynamic is not love, it's dependence, and dependence eventually suffocates both people. Making someone the center of your identity often comes from fear. The fear of being alone, the fear of not being enough, or the fear of rejection. But when you abandon yourself to hold on to someone else, you reinforce the very fears you're trying to escape. Because deep down, you know you're not living as your full, authentic self, and when the relationship ends, as many do, you're left not just grieving the loss of him, but also the loss of yourself, because you no longer know who you are without him. Keeping your identity intact means continuing to invest in the parts of your life that make you whole. It means pursuing your passions, building your career, nurturing friendships, caring for your body, and protecting your peace. It means knowing that your worth does not depend on whether someone stays or leaves, but on the fact that you are valuable on your own. A man who truly respects and loves you will never want you to abandon yourself for him. He will admire your independence, your individuality, and your strength, because those are the qualities that drew him to you in the first place. The truth is, love should enhance your life, not consume it. When you build your identity on solid ground, you don't collapse if a relationship ends because your foundation is secure. You know who you are, what you stand for, and where you're going with or without him. And that is the kind of strength that not only protects you, but also attracts the right partner, the one who doesn't need you to disappear into him, but who wants to walk alongside the woman you've always been.